We've got the brand new Acura MDX and the Genesis GV80, Genesis' first ever SUV, and we're doing a comparison.
And the MDX just came out. Now, some people think these are not direct competitors, but we kind of think they are.
Yeah.
So let's get into it.
The Acura MDX comes with a 3.5-liter V6 engine with a 10-speed automatic transmission. It has 290 horsepower and 267 pound-feet of torque. It has the same engine as the outgoing model, but now comes with a 10-speed automatic transmission instead of a 9. And what a difference!
The Genesis GV80 comes with two engines, a 2.5-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder with an 8-speed automatic transmission. That engine has 300 horsepower and 311 pound-feet of torque. Now, the one we're looking at today is the 3.5-liter twin-turbo V6. It also has an 8-speed automatic transmission, but more power, 375 horsepower and 191 pound-feet of torque. The interesting thing is, on paper, Andrea, the 2.5-liter turbo base engine in the GV80 and the V6 in the MDX actually are similar in power. But we're not comparing those because if you want to get a 3-row option in the GV80, you need to get the more powerful engine. So we're actually comparing those.
Yeah.
And when you compare them, the GV80 actually has a lot more power, right?
Yes, a lot more power. Now, Acura is coming out with a Type S in the summertime for the MDX, and then that will boost its power and maybe be a better competitor power-wise anyway.
355 horsepower when that one comes out later in the year.
354 pound-feet of torque. The MDX sports its first ever double wishbone front suspension combined with an all-new multilink rear suspension. This helps with precise road holding and highly responsive handling while maintaining a smooth yet comfortable ride. The steering has also been retooled to make it more agile and precise. There are 5 drive modes: snow, comfort, normal, sport, and individual.
The GV80 V6 has a rear-wheel drive bias all-wheel drive system with an electronically controlled limited slip differential, but that's only available if you opt for the top $85,000 trim. All V6 models do come with an adaptive suspension with road preview. What it uses is a forward camera system and sensors to read the road and then soften the suspension over bumps. But the GV80 with the base engine comes with regular springs and shocks. The MDX has adaptive suspension on all trims.
I have to say, I am really impressed with this MDX and all the changes that they've made to this model. Everything that they say on paper really comes true when you're driving it.
Now, the GV80, on the other hand, as I mentioned, has a rear-wheel drive bias all-wheel drive system. The MDX is a front-wheel drive bias system.
Yeah.
The rear-wheel drive is more of a European standard. In fact, the all-wheel drive system's made by a supplier that also supplies BMW, so you can do some math on that. It's a nice handling vehicle. As I said, if you get the V6 that we're talking about, you get the adaptive suspension. The base models, no, you don't get that.
The MDX sits on a 2.8-inch longer wheelbase and a stance that is 1.4 inches wider than the previous model. The biggest change is the dash-to-axle ratio. It has been extended by 4 inches, which basically gives you a longer hood. It comes with a diamond black grille and dual-eye LED headlights, taillights, and you can get 19-inch wheels on the base model, but on all other trims, 20-inch wheels are standard.
Now, the GV80 isn't as big as the MDX. It's not as long or wide. It does have an athletic yet elegant-looking exterior with signature Genesis design elements, including the parallel lighting treatment that runs from the front, down the side, to the rear lights. Genesis uses what they call the G-matrix design throughout the exterior and interior. That includes the grille, the wheels, and interior pieces like the speaker grills and the quilted seats. The GV80 wheel sizes range from 19 to 22 inches, with the top 2 trims getting those larger 22-inch wheels.
The GV80 kind of has this Bentley feel to it. When you see it on the road, wow, does it ever have a great presence?
Yeah, the big grille. Some people like the grille, some people don't.
I like it. I think it looks excellent.
Now, the MDX, on the other hand, I think is a much improved design. Now, some people think they borrowed heavily from Mazda with their CX-9. I can see that. But you know what? In person, when you're around it, it's a very pleasant looking vehicle. I think both of these are really nice looking. Now, a couple of days before this video drops, Andrea drops on Instagram the same comparison. And we get a lot of comments, and we're going to read some of them in just a moment. If you want to follow along and take part in that, the best way to do it is go to Motormouth_Andrea. And if you missed that, the links for both our Instagram are in the description below. So you want to read them off?
I sure do. Yes, here's our first comment. I like the simplicity in the interior design of the GV80, but at the same time, I love the interior design of the MDX. The exterior goes to the Acura. Despite that Hyundai has improved exponentially, I'd rather choose Japanese over Korean.
GV80 if money wasn't an issue. Hyundai's vehicle design and finishes are far better.
It's not even a contest. Based on value for dollars, amenities, and quality, it's the MDX all day, every day.
The only thing I like more about the GV80 is the interior on the top trim, so I will save myself a whole bunch of money and get the MDX.
The MDX comes standard with a 12.3-inch display screen with a touchpad, a 12.3-inch digital instrument cluster, heated leather seats, wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, wireless smartphone charging, driver's seat memory, a panoramic moonroof, and a power tailgate.
Now in the MDX, the second row has a removable middle seat for an easy walkthrough to the third row, which now offers an additional 0.4 inches of headroom and 2.4 inches of legroom. The seating position is also 2 inches higher off the floor compared to the outgoing model. Cargo space has also increased and now features underfloor storage behind the third row, with 80% more space available under the cargo floor.
All other trims on the MDX except the base model get a power tailgate with hands-free access and walk-away close, power folding side mirrors, front and rear parking sensors, 2-position memory seats for passengers, and heated second-row seats. A head-up display and perforated leather seats are standard on the top Platinum Elite trim that you see here, and ventilated front seats are standard on the top 2 trims.
Now the GV80 comes with many of the same features as the MDX, except it offers a 14.5-inch touchscreen and an 8-inch LCD instrument display. You can get a larger 12.3-inch instrument display, but on the top trim. The interior focuses on the beauty of open space. The center console offers a sense of minimalism with very few physical buttons. It's equipped with a jewel-like rotating electronic gear selector. There is genuine wood trim, a leather-wrapped dashboard with contrasting piping and stitching and leather seating. The Napa leather quilted seats, power folding third-row seats, as well as 64-color ambient lighting are only available on the top trim. While the MDX gets wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, the GV80 you still need to use a cable.
The third row of the GV80 is a little bit difficult to access, and I would say it's best for small children. If you plan to use all 3 rows on a regular basis, the GV80 may not be big enough for your family. The cargo space is lacking with all 3 rows in use. However, first and second row occupants will really enjoy the luxury, comfort, and space this SUV offers.
Now pricing is coming up. And I think that is going to be the most interesting thing for a lot of people. But Andrea, when you see pictures of the GV80 with all that quilting interior, that's only on their top trim. And that's the one they use for all their promotions.
Sure.
And that's the one people think they're getting.
Yes.
But it's really only the top trim.
They're not getting it. Yes, top trim. And it really is stunning. I like how they've kind of opened up the space in the GV80. It has a simple, clean, elegant, sophisticated design to it. Just beautiful. Now, the only thing is you do get this 14.5-inch touchscreen, which I think is gorgeous. But then, unless you get that top model, you only get the 8-inch driver display, whereas the MDX offers 12.3-inch on both.
I want to talk about the infotainment system. Now, the MDX has that trackpad.
Yeah.
And that takes a while to master, but not that long. Like, you figure it out pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And it's not exactly what I would prefer.
No.
Now, I spent 3 days with the GV80 infotainment system, and I just couldn't master it. I couldn't figure it out. I just think it's way too complicated.
Right.
And that rotary dial thing you talked about,
Yes.
I wish it was raised.
Right.
So you have to spin your hand on top of it. Now, that's a simple thing they could change, but they tried to make the infotainment system they've made it too complex.
Okay, I think that over time when you're in that vehicle, It's your own. You're going to get it. You're going to understand it, and it's not going to be a problem. It's the same with the MDX. However, I feel that the MDX should have offered a touch screen as well, which is what the GV80 has. The MDX has 4 trims. The base model starts at $56,500, and it goes all the way up to the Platinum Elite trim, which you see here, which is $67,500.
Now the GV80 starts at $64,500 in the Canadian market, but that's with the turbo 4-cylinder engine. The base 3.5 liter is $80,000 in the Canadian market, and the top trim is $85,000.
So with the GV80 in Canada, you just pick trims and then there's a price point for that trim. But in the US, you can pick trims and add packages on, so the price does change.
Yeah, and the one thing is that when you look, I'm going to put the numbers back on the screen here for a moment for the GV80. So have a look at the difference between the pricing of the Canadian V6s and the US V6s. In the US, they're much, much more aggressive on the price than they are in Canada. And that's, for me, with this GV80, where I think it falls down a bit. So, Andrea, if you want a V6, a GV80, and you want the third row of seats, that's 80 grand.
That's 80 grand.
Right?
And that doesn't come, as we talked about earlier, with those quilted seats, and it only comes with the 8-inch driver display, right?
Yeah. Okay, so over at MDX, the fully loaded one is $67,000. So that's full $13,000 more, right? And then if you go for the top GV80, it's almost $20,000 more. So you have premium, and I would say that's where the MDX plays, and then you have luxury, and that's where GV80 is trying to play.
Yeah, so when it comes to the US numbers, I think that the marketing team there nailed it, because what they've done is they've allowed this GV80 to float between a premium brand and a luxury brand. So if you are looking at a luxury brand like a BMW or a Q7, you might say, well, hold on a second, I can actually get a GV80 with all of this gorgeous interior, looks like a Bentley from the outside, comes with amazing standard features. I can pay around $72,000 in the US for that.
And this is where a lot of comments are going to come into play. And that's what you're going to do right now, is thump away on your keyboard. So, do you think the GV80 does have a competitor with the MDX, or do you think it really floats in that X5 GLE world?
Yeah.
I think buyers are smart. I think buyers say, I've got this amount of money to spend on a car. What's the most car I can get for my money? And I think that that's where, in my opinion, the MDX is better value. But the GV80 is now trying to be a luxury item. Now, they're a new brand. In Canada, they went expensive. This thing's expensive in Canada. In the United States, it's much more realistic.
As for fuel economy, they're pretty comparable. The MDX does a little bit better, 12.6 liters per 100 kilometers in the city, 9.4 on the highway, and 11.2 liters per 100 kilometers combined.
The GV80 with the 3.5-liter twin-turbo V6 is 13 liters per 100 kilometers in the city, 10 on the highway, and a combined 12 liters, and the U.S. miles per gallon are below that. So one of the things we should mention in the price is this concierge ownership experience with the GV80. So in Canada, when you buy a GV80, they deliver it to your house.
Yeah.
Everything is included for 5 years. If your car needs to go for service, they pick it up and drop it off.
You get a courtesy car.
And a courtesy car. It's all included in that price. So how much value does that add to the price of the car?
Certainly convenient, isn't it?
Yeah.
And wonderful customer service. With the Acura, you get 4 years or 80,000 kilometers.
All right, final thoughts. I'm a big fan of this new MDX. I think they absolutely nailed it. And considering what you get for the price, they're going to sell a whole bunch of these. The GV80, I liked it. I just don't like the price. I think for a brand new entry into the premium car space, they should have priced a little bit less and captured some audience that way.
Well, I think the GV80 is classy. It has awesome technology, and the customer service that is offered by Genesis you can't beat. However, the MDX, I am so impressed with the drive and the handling of this new vehicle, and I like the value.
Yeah.
You get a lot for your money in a 7-seater.
The links to the longer reviews are below, and also our Instagram links. If you want to get a question in for one of the future videos, follow Andrea. It's Motormouth_Andrea. Great job.
Yeah, see you next week.